This is Fat to Fierce. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. Join me on this empowering adventure towards a healthier relationship with food, body, and self, one delicious bite at a time. Hello there. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. All right, so buckle up because this episode feels a little bit tender and I don't know where it's going to go, okay? I do have a loose outline that I'm going to follow just so that I can keep it a little bit organized. Otherwise, I tend to trail off in a bunch of different tangents, okay? So I'm going to try to hone it in today because what I want to talk about is what's going on, what's been going on with me, specifically regarding my recent weight gain, okay? Now, as an emotional eating coach, I don't work with people on weight loss. Okay. I'm not a weight loss coach. I'm a food and body confidence coach. I'm an emotional eating coach. We know this. I help people heal their relationship with food, body, and self, right? Have more confidence, feel more empowered, change those eating habits, all that good stuff. Learn body acceptance. You know, all the things that I talk about, right? But here's what I want to do for today, because in the last few episodes, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned my holiday pounds. The holiday pounds that I gained the end of 2024, okay? That's where I gained the bulk of it, all right? And the fact that those holiday pounds are not leaving, okay? It's now the end of April. We're getting to the end of April and they haven't budged. Actually, that's not entirely true. Okay. I'm in this like 3-pound zone where it like will go down like 3 pounds, but then it just goes right back up and down and up and down and up. And I'm kind of in this little space. It's like this like little mini fluctuation. Anyway, usually by this time, my holiday pounds are gone. So the fact that they're still lingering has me a little bit concerned. And as I've also mentioned previously, I'm working with a dietitian. I did start working with a dietitian in November, specifically to help heal my gut from the diverticulitis diagnosis, right? Because I was having the flare-ups and all this other stuff. So I've been working with her. She is helping me understand what's going on with my body better, which is fantastic. And we are working together on trying to figure out what's going on with my body right now and why it's so resistant to removing this extra weight that I've gained. And it's been frustrating, okay? I'm not going to lie. Like, I wish I could sit here and tell you, like, it's fine, I'm just working through it and it's okay, but it's frustrating. And I've noticed I've gotten more frustrated in the last couple of weeks. And that specifically started right before I had a doctor's appointment. And I realized that this weight gain was going to, my doctor was going to see this. And I've talked about this before, but I have made sure to find doctors who are supportive and encouraging. And my primary doctor is amazing. And she has never once brought up my weight. Like, she doesn't bring it up unless I bring it up. She doesn't talk about it unless I bring it up first. And she's just amazing and she's awesome. And I love her. But I noticed when that appointment was coming up, I started getting some of the anxiety that comes with a doctor's appointment when you've gained weight, when you have a history of being shamed by the doctor, right? So that's kind of when this started to intensify. The frustration started to intensify. And so I know I've shared bits and pieces of the holiday pounds in these recent episodes, but I thought, you know what? Today I want to share this because I'm in it right now. Like, I'm not past this, and that's okay. Because remember, I may be a life coach, but I'm human. And even life coaches deal with shit, okay? We're all having a human experience. None of us are immune to little things that we deal with. And I don't mean little, but like the things we deal with, right? I guess in the grand scheme of things, they are little, but whatever. Okay, let me not go into over analyzing my language there. So, okay. So here's really why I wanted to share about this. Number one, because I'm in it. I'm experiencing it right now. So I thought it might be interesting to talk about something that I'm going through in the moment in real time, as opposed to something that I've already worked through or already gotten past or already healed, right? This is what's happening right now. And the way that it has impacted me emotionally is and mentally, okay, is because when I'm going to talk about this, because it really did start to bubble up around the time of my doctor's appointment. And that's when I noticed the flurry of thoughts. That's when I noticed the story coming back, okay? And what that story is, it's the narrative that I knew for most of my life as somebody who was criticized and struggled with her weight. And that is the story that I'm a failure, that I'm not good enough at this weight, right? That there's something wrong, that this is a problem, that needs to be fixed, okay? All of that is what started to kind of like come to the surface. And it almost became a tug of war. And what I mean by that is it became a tug of war between what I know logically. So, what I know logically through my years of training and development and all that other stuff, the work that I do as as a coach who's focused in food and body relationships, right? So there's the logical part of it, what I know, versus what still hurts, the pain that's still there, the history that doesn't just go away. That's the tug of war. Okay. So I know logically all the ways that I can change my thoughts and, find neutral thought and help myself feel better. But then there's the very real part of this that is still painful. That still hurts. And that tug of war is real. And I think a lot of us experience that in certain things, like in depending on our life experience, depending on the things that we've gone through, like this can come up for a lot of people. And I think that in the world of diet and weight loss, especially for people who started dieting at young ages, okay, as kids, as young children. I've shared before, most of my clients started dieting anywhere between the ages of 8 and 10, or 8 and 13. I was 10. 8 and 13. Okay, that's young when we start this I'm going to call it nonsense, okay? Because somewhere along the line someone fed us the idea that our bodies weren't good enough, that we needed to lose weight, that being thin is the most important thing, okay? That you're not good enough if you don't wear a size whatever, that if you weigh a certain, like, you have to weigh a certain amount, you have to fit into a certain box, okay? And if you don't, it's a problem. All right. So when you think of a young, underdeveloped mind, because our minds aren't fully developed when we're that age, right? When we're young. And so you think about being fed this about your body and yourself, and it definitely has an impact. And that can absolutely rear its head, even when you think you've healed so much. and and so that's kind of the point of this. Like, even after all the healing that I have done and all the work I've done on and for myself, some of those old thoughts will still show up. And that's what I'm in right now. Okay. And here's what I want to share. I want to share what's different this time. Okay. even as I'm experiencing this right now, and listen, the frustration is real. Okay. I have a ton of clothes from last spring and summer that don't fit me right now. And I live in North Georgia, so it's getting warm. And I have purchased some new items for myself. Okay, I did buy some jeans, and this is let me just say this and get this off my chest because this is another frustrating part. So my a lot of my I love jeans. I love denim. Okay, I love denim capris. Like that's my go-to in the spring and summer with like a nice flowy shirt, like nice flowy blouse. Like that's my preferred outfit. Okay. And I have some amazing crop denim that I get. I have lots of denim. Love it. And the ones from last spring are just really uncomfortably tight. And so I bought some in the next size up and they're too big. And so it's this just adds to the frustration. Okay. Like if you know what I'm talking about, you may be familiar with this situation where your current ones are too snug, but then you go a size up and they're too big. It's like I need a size in between, right? But where is that to be found? Let me take a breath. Because it is frustrating. But that just adds to it, right? It's getting warmer. Some of the stuff is just uncomfortable right now. So that just adds to the frustration of this weight. And I've just noticed myself getting extra frustrated with a little bit of anxiety, a twinge of worry, like what's going on here? Okay. But typically in the way back past, this would have been prime for me to start doing some extreme stuff, right? Some extreme dieting, continue shaming myself, and kind of get into that fixing mode. Like, I've got to fix myself, I've got to fix something. But here's what I'm doing instead. Okay. Now, let me just be clear. Okay. Yes, some of the fixing still comes back. Okay. I'm diverting from my outline a little bit here. So when it comes to fixing, when it comes to old stories and old thoughts, yes, the old thoughts have started have started to come forward, right? I've noticed that. But also some of the old ways that I would have worked on this in the past, right? So recognizing that, oh, this must be a problem. This is something I need to figure out what's wrong with me. I need to figure out what's going on with my body. Like, what's wrong with my body? Okay. I've noticed that particular thought coming up a lot lately. And even that is part of the old way of thinking. Okay. That's part of the habit because here's the thing, like, just because the weight's not leaving as fast as it normally doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem, right? And if I'm focused on there being a problem, guess what? I'm going to find a problem. Because here's the other piece of this. Like, I'm also at the age of perimenopause, okay? Like I'm knee deep in that as well. And that can also be part of what's happening and why it might be taking longer to release the extra fat that I've gained. I don't even think it's fat. I think a lot of it is inflammation, but that's a whole other story. Though wait, perimenopause could perimenopause could absolutely be contributing to some of what's going on, right? And that's another reason that I'm working with the dietitian, okay? And my dietitian is how do I say this? She is not a fan of the medications that are out there. I love getting her on the topic. It's fun to talk with her about that. She is more of a food, focusing on the foods that we eat, making sure we're choosing, very healthful options, nutrient. She's very focused on nutrients and all that stuff. And a firm believer that, we can heal with food, right? By choosing the right foods. And yeah, I'm taking some vitamin D. There are some other supplements that can absolutely help you on your journey. but she's not a fan of the medications that are out there. Anyway, the old patterns for me would have been extreme dieting. It would have been, okay, let's just find like something that'll work, something that's quick, something that I can, do. And I would start exercising a ton, and I would just really be in a place of, I need to fix this. This is not good. This is not healthy. Um, all of that, right? And none of that is helpful. Okay. It doesn't feel good. It feels so much worse. It's almost like added weight on top of, like, added mental and emotional weight on top of what's going on. So some of the things that I'm doing, instead of spiraling into the old patterns, and let me get this out as I'm thinking about it right now. Hopefully I'll articulate this correctly. One of the things that the dietitian, and I want to, let me just say this before I explain what I'm about to share here. What I'm going to share is pertaining specifically to the work I'm doing with my dietitian. So I'm not saying you should do this or you shouldn't do this. Okay. Work with medical professionals in your world to find what's best for you. Okay. That's such an important piece, because I think we hear what other people are doing and we're like, oh, I should try that. I should try that. And like, just because one person does it, like, doesn't mean it's going to work for every single human body. Right. So just take everything with a grain and like do what works for you. All right. So one of the things that my dietitian has me focused on is increased healthy fat. Okay. Now, if you're someone who grew up, if you're Gen X specifically, or maybe even millennial, all right, and you grew up in the era of low fat and fat free, we're wired to think fat is bad. Okay. Like, we're literally, like, we grew up in that space of low fat, no fat, fat is bad. And it was fascinating for me when she wanted to increase my healthy fat grams, per day, the macros, right? She wanted me to increase my fat macros. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, what do you mean you want me to have this much fat? Because in my mind, that's bad. That's bad. And the plans that I was on in the past were all low fat or no fat. So it's just really interesting to like notice that, and also remind myself, okay, we're trying something different here. We're getting let's be curious. Let's trust this process. And her reason for wanting to increase the healthy fat is like for hormones and hormone balancing and a whole bunch of other things. I'm not going to get into the science of it because I am not a dietitian, but she has explained it and it makes a lot of sense. And so I'm trusting that process, and I'm recognizing that after decades of dieting, okay, my body, my metabolism is potentially a little mixed up. Not sure what's going on, right? And so there's a trust factor here in trusting this process and staying curious. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm staying curious, trusting the process, supporting my body with professional help, right? The dietitian. And even though the negative thoughts have been coming to the surface, okay, and I see them, and I've gotten frustrated as a result of them, I am not punishing myself, okay? I may be thinking some crap thoughts and having the feelings that go along with those crap thoughts, but I'm not punishing myself, okay? I'm not telling myself, like, did I have some Reese's eggs at Easter? You betcha. Like, did I eat like the amount that I normally would? No, but I had a few as I was preparing the baskets for the teenagers. Yes. Oh my gosh, my teenagers, we also did an egg hunt listen, teenagers love an egg hunt, okay? We hid 37 eggs for my kids, 15 and 16, about to be 16 and 17 in June. And we make it a little competitive for them. Whoever finds the most eggs gets an extra $10. They were like, it's intense here on Easter morning. We did this after church, okay? So it was a lot of fun. If you have teenagers or you know teenagers, don't overlook the egg hunt for them, all right? Anyway, where was he? Look at I went off course and now I've got to find my place. Okay. My point was, yes, I did indulge in some Reese's peanut butter eggs, but not like I used to. I'm not punishing myself. I'm not resisting and like saying, no, I can't have this or that because like I just know how that works and that's not helpful. So I am including everything, I'm allowing myself to have the things and eat in moderation, but not doing the whole punishing, restriction, all that other stuff that I know is not useful. Oh, and here's something interesting too. I'm just going to share this with you because it just popped up in my mind. So one of as the dietitian and I are working together, she we kind of go back and forth. Typically meet with her once a month, and then we talk, via email in between those appointments. And she had asked me for a 3-day recap of what I had eaten because she just wants to get a sense of the food I'm eating and what nutrients I'm getting and stuff like that. Oh my goodness. I had to keep reminding myself, like, she's not judging you, Amy. She's not judging you, because in the recap, like, I had some chocolate. And I really struggled in the moment with myself. Like, should I put the chocolate on there? Should I list the chocolate? What's she going to think if I put the chocolate on there? And it was like, whoa, holy smokes. I just went back to like old dieting ways of the past where, you know what it's like when you go to a place to get weighed in. I mean, I'm going back in the day here, and they're like, they look over your food journal and they're like, oh, like, should you have had that? Like, I was like, my brain was in that place and I was like, holy cow, Amy, list what you ate so that she can take a look and see, what might be impacting, right? Don't omit anything. List it. She's not going to judge you. She's trying to help you. So it's just really and I share with you this little story because it illustrates the way that diet mentality, even if we've moved past it and we've healed so much of it, can still come forward in present day. Like, that blew my mind. And so I did, of course, list everything that I had eaten. She wanted like a 3-day recap. She's like, just send me what you've eaten over the last 3 days, just so I can get a sense of what's going on. And so I did, and I listed the chocolate, right? And she got back to me. Not a word about the chocolate, no shame, no like, oh, you shouldn't have had that, right? Instead, she was just like, hey, let's swap your meals. Instead of having a heavier meal for dinner, have a heavier meal for breakfast. Keep it lighter. Because typically my breakfasts have been really light. And then I would have like a larger lunch and larger dinner. And she has asked me to swap dinner and breakfast. So I'm having a heavier breakfast, like a larger breakfast, and a much lighter dinner. And that was it. Like, that was the switch, right? And there was nothing about the chocolate that I had at all, right? And so I just think it's interesting because when you're someone who has dieted for a really long time throughout your life and you've tried so many different plans, it's like you have so many rules and so many ways, so many ideas kind of like still within you, like that shit doesn't go away. All right. And it was just interesting to notice how that resurfaced when I had to send her what I was eating. Like, really interesting. And I share that because it's just a reminder to be gentle with ourselves, especially if you're somebody who has a history of excessive, obsessive dieting like yours truly. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I just started the meal swap this week. So I just started yesterday, as a matter of fact, Monday, of having the larger breakfast with smaller lunch, smaller dinner. So we'll see what happens. Again, it's all about staying curious. It's trying different things to see what might work. And her reasoning behind that is because as I'm aging and as my hormones are kind of shuffling through this whole perimenopause situation, she wants to see if perhaps having, less like lower the calories before bedtime, right? Just to see if that will have an impact. So we'll see. So far though, today was only day 2 of doing that. And that was also like a little trippy for me mentally because I'm so in a routine with my meals and I had to switch it and I'm like, what do I have? But honestly, I'm just having what I would normally have for dinner for breakfast. So for today, that was a ground turkey bowl with ground turkey, zucchini, some red pepper. I put on a little bit of the Bolt House Farms spicy ranch and had that with an apple. Like it was delicious. So I'm like, all right, so I'm just gonna have that for my breakfast, so on and so forth. Okay, again, I'm deviating. Here we go. I want to state again, like by no means am I suggesting that anyone try any of this. Okay. I am working with a dietitian. You gotta work with your peeps and do what's right for you. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about the old stories. Okay. Because the most important piece here is that the deep-seated beliefs don't necessarily vanish. All right. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this episode. All right. The whole point is that deep-seated beliefs do not necessarily vanish. And the goal isn't to erase them. Okay. That's not what we're trying to do here. I think even I've gotten caught up in the idea that we're supposed to get rid of these beliefs. We're supposed to get rid of these thoughts. Sometimes they don't go away completely. Okay. They're going to be there. All right. And the goal is to recognize them faster, quicker, okay? Soften our response and choose a kinder way forward. All right? So when like right now what I'm experiencing with some of these old beliefs resurfacing, even the one about sharing what I'd eaten for those 3 days. Oh, she's going to judge me, right? She's going to judge this. She's not going to like the fact that I ate chocolate. That was just from an old experience. That was an old thought from an old experience. Okay. Obviously, I still have that thought. If I didn't, it wouldn't have come up. Well, I was doing that, right? So it's still there. There's still a belief that someone is going to judge me for eating something like chocolate. The goal isn't to like make that thought go away because it may never. That's just potentially the truth of it. Okay. It might just be there. The goal is how I'm going to treat myself once I notice it. First of all, it's noticing it. So there's the awareness of noticing that that thought is still there. And then there is, instead of like continuing to beat myself up over the fact that I ate chocolate or omitting it from the list, because that wouldn't have been helpful either, right? I'm only lying to myself. And so it's like softening the response. So it's raising the awareness that the thought is there, softening the response, and choosing a kinder way towards myself, right? Reminding myself, this is not what she's here to do. She's not here to judge me. She's here to help me. It's the whole reason I'm working with her is because she's helping me, right? Healing doesn't mean that the voice disappears. It means you don't let it drive the car. Ooh, isn't that powerful? And here's I'm going to share with you a little something that I wrote in my journal this morning. So the whole reason this came up today as the episode was because earlier this morning I was talking with one of my coaching peers. We still meet every week and coach each other. It's a beautiful thing. We've been doing this now for like the last 9 years. Anyway, I have two coach buddies that I went to coach training with, and we still continue to meet every week and coach each other. It's so fun. Anyway, this came up because it was my turn to be coached today. And so this came up during our coaching session because I was like, man, I am so frustrated with the fact that this weight is not removing, like it's not going away. And really started talking about the way that I've been talking to myself and the stories that have been resurfacing. And so as we were talking this morning, I wrote this down. I'm just going to read it right from my notebook so that hopefully I articulate this well. It went like this. So maybe it's always going to be here. I don't have to make it center stage, my struggle with weight. The struggle is not the weight. It's what I'm making the weight mean. That I'm not enough, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not ready. Okay. That's what we're making it mean. So take a look at what you're making something mean. And that right there is what can change. Okay. With that said, I'm going to go. I hope you have a great week. Talk to you next week. Are you ready to break free from stress eating and body shaming? It's time to get fierce. Fat to Fierce is a self-paced program that helps you build a new foundation of strength and balance without the toxic dieting mindset. This non-diet approach focuses on mindful eating, body acceptance, and lasting transformation. It's time to reclaim your power and find peace with food, your body, and yourself. Visit amyenglishcc.com to get started today.